Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Today we are going to discuss about anthropology. Most of the people do not know in detail about anthropology. It seems to be one of the science which is not easily to understand, not easily to accessible to the common man. Such a wrong view have, misconception we have. Nothing. Anthropology is scientific study of humanity and concerned with our behavior and biology, culture, societies, etc. Everything hidden in anthropology. When you go through anthropology in subject wise, we can understand the essence of anthropology in very easy way and rectify ourselves what and all we are lacking, what and all we have to adapt. These and all can be taught in anthropology. It is a kind of science, always goes in scientific way to get research of human behavior in various activities. That's why we have to go anthropology to understand the what is the feminist anthropology and what is medical anthropology, and also we have to go through various sects of legal, psychological, cognitive, cultural and digital, public anthropology, etc. These types of sections give us in detail and vivid picture to know ourselves. So let us start with prayer. Vasudeva sutam devam kamsa chanura mardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagatgurum. Anthropology is a scientific study of humanity concerned with human behavior, human biology, human cultures and societies in both present and past, including past human species. Among them, social anthropology studies the patterns of behavior, while cultural anthropology studies cultural meaning, including the norms and values. Linguistic anthropology studies how language influences in our social life. Biological or physical anthropology gives good knowledge the biological development of humans. Even visual anthropology can mean both ethnographic film as well as the study of visuals. What are there? Including art, visual images, cinema, drama, etc. Oxford Biographies describes visual anthropology as the anthropological study of the visual and visual study of the anthropological. Now, let us get the history of anthropology. The abstract noun anthropology is first attested in reference to history. Its present use first appeared in Renaissance Germany in the works of Magnus Hunt and Otto Kassmann. Their new Latin anthropologia derived from the combining forms of the Greek words anthropos and logos. Anthropology, that is to say, the science that treats of man, is divided ordinarily and with reason into anatomy, which considers the body and its parts, and psychology, which speaks of the soul. Anthropology is a global discipline involving humanities and social sciences. Anthropology builds upon knowledge from natural sciences, including the discoveries about the origin and evolution of Homo sapiens, human physical traits, human behavior, the variations among different groups of humans. How the evolutionary past of Homo sapiens has influenced its socio-organization and culture, and from social sciences, including the organization of human social and cultural relations, institutions, social conflicts, etc. Early anthropology originated in classical Greece and Persia and later tried to understand observable cultural diversity, such as Al Biruni of the Islamic Golden Age. As such, anthropology has been central in the development of several new interdisciplinary fields. What are they? Such as cognitive science, global studies, and various ethnic studies. Let us have the knowledge of socio-cultural anthropology. What is it? It has been heavily influenced by structuralist and postmodern theories, as well as shift towards the analysis of modern societies. During the 1970s and 1990s, there was an epistemological shift away from the positivist traditions that had largely informed the discipline. During this shift, enduring questions about the nature and production of knowledge came to occupy a central place in cultural and social anthropology. In contrast, archaeology and biological anthropology remained largely positivist. Due to this difference in epistemology, the four subfields of anthropology have lacked cohesion over the last several decades. What is the socio-cultural? Socio-cultural anthropology draws together the principal axes of cultural anthropology and social anthropology. Cultural anthropology is a comparative study of the manifold ways in which people make sense of the world around them, while social anthropology is the study of the relationships among individuals and also the groups. Cultural anthropology is more related to philosophy, literature, and the arts. Now, how one's culture affects the experience of self and group, contributing to a more complete understanding of the people's knowledge, customs, and institutions, while social anthropology is more related to sociology and also history. In that, it helps develop an understanding of social structures, typically of others and other populations such as minorities, subgroups, dissidents, etc. There is no hard and fast distinction between them, and these categories overlap to a considerable degree. Inquiry in social cultural anthropology is guided in part by cultural relativism, the attempt to understand other societies in terms of their own terms, moderate reductionism in cross cultural comparison. This project is often accommodated in the field of ethnography. What is ethnography? Ethnography can refer to both a methodology and the product of ethnographic research. For example, an ethnographic monograph. As a methodology, ethnography is based upon long-term field work within a community or other research site. Participant observation is one of the foundational methods of social cultural anthropology. Ethnology involves the systematic comparison of different cultures. The process of participant observation can be especially helpful to understanding a culture from an emic conceptual versus ethic or technical point of view. Understand? The study of kinship and social organization is a central focus of socio-cultural anthropology, as kinship is a human universal. Socio-cultural anthropology also covers economic and political organizations, law and conflict resolution, patterns of consumption and exchange material culture, technology, infrastructure, gender relations, ethnicity, child rearing and socialization, religion, myth, symbols, values, etiquette mean manners, worldview, sports, music, nutrition, recreation, games, food, festivals, and language, which is also the object of study in linguistic anthropology. So, comparison across cultures is a key element of method in socio-cultural anthropology, including the industrialized and deindustrialized West. The standard cross-cultural sample includes 186 such cultures. Biological anthropology and physical anthropology are synonymous terms for what to describe anthropological research focused on the study of humans and non-human primates in their biological, evolutionary, and demographic dimensions. It examines the biological, evolutionary, and demographic dimensions. It examines the biological and social factors that have affected the evolution of humans and other primates and that generate, maintain, or change contemporary genetic and physiological variation. Understand? Now let us go for linguistic anthropology. What is it? This linguistic anthropology seeks to understand the process of human communications, verbal and non-verbal variation in language across a time and space, the social uses of language, and the relationship between language and also the culture. It is the branch of anthropology that brings linguistics methods to bear on anthropological problems, linking the analysis of linguistic forms and process to the interpretation of socio-cultural processes. Linguistic anthropologists often draw on related fields, including sociolinguistics, pragmatics, cognitive linguistics, semiotics, discourse analysis, and narrative analysis. Now, anthropology of art. One of the central problems in anthropology of art concerns the universality of art as a cultural phenomenon. Several anthropologists have noted that the Western categories of painting, sculpture, or literature, conceived as independent artistic activities, do not exist or exist in a significantly different form in most non Western contexts. To surmount this difficulty, what then anthropologists of art have focused on formal features in objects which, without exclusively being artistic, have certain evident aesthetic qualities. The way of the masks or greets arts as cultural system are some examples in this trend to transform the anthropology of art into an anthropology of culturally specific aesthetics. Now, economic anthropology, which attempts to explain human economic behavior in its widest historic, geographic, and cultural scope. It has a complex relationship with the discipline of economics, of which it is highly critical. Its origins as a subfield of anthropology begins with the Polish-British founder of anthropology, Bronislaw Malinowski, as an alternative to market exchange. Economic anthropology remains, for the most part, focused upon exchange. Economic anthropology remains, for the most part, focused upon exchange. The school of thought derived from Marx and known as political economy focuses on production in contrast. Economic anthropologists have abandoned the primitive niche they were relegated to by economists and have now turned to examine corporations, turn banks as a global financial system from an anthropological perspective. Political economy in anthropology is the application of the theories and methods of historical materialism to the traditional concerns of anthropology, including but not limited to non-capitalist societies. Political economy introduced questions of history and colonialism to a historical of anthropological theories of social structure and also the culture. Three main areas of interest rapidly developed. The first of these areas was concerned with the pre-capitalist societies that were subject to evolutionary tribal stereotypes. Now, let us come to know about feminist anthropology. What is it? Answer: it is a four-field approach to anthropology that seeks to reduce male bias in research findings, anthropological hiring practices, and the scholarly production of knowledge. Anthropology engages often with feminists from non-Western traditions whose perspectives and also experience can differ from those of white feminists of Europe, America, and elsewhere. From the perspective of the Western world, historically such peripheral perspectives have been ignored, observed only from an outside perspective, and regarded as less valid or less important than knowledge from the Western world. Exploring and addressing that double bias against women from marginalized racial or ethnic groups is of particular interest in intersectional feminist anthropology. Feminist anthropologists have claimed that their research helps for what? To correct these systematic biases in mainstream feminist theory, history, linguistic, archaeology, and anthropology. Feminist anthropologists are centrally concerned with the construction of gender across societies. Gender constructions are of particular interest when studying sexism. Feminist anthropology is inclusive of the anthropology of birth as a specialization, which is the anthropological study of pregnancy and childbirth within cultures and also societies. Now let us discuss about medical anthropology. It is an interdisciplinary field but studies human health and diseases, also healthcare systems and biocultural adaptation. This is believed that William Caudell was the first to discover the field of medical anthropology. Don't forget our name, William Caudell. Currently, research in medical anthropology is one of the main growth areas in the field of anthropology as a whole. It focuses on the following 6 basic fields. Now, we have to understand what are the 6 basic fields. Number 1, the development of systems of medical knowledge and medical care. Number 2, the patient and physician's relationship. Third, the integration of alternative medical systems in culturally diverse environments. Fourth, the interaction of social, environmental, and biological factors which influence health and illness both in the individual and the community as a whole. The critical analysis of interaction between psychiatric services and migrant populations. And last 6th one, the impact of biomedicine and biomedical technologies is in non-Western settings. Now let us discuss about psychological anthropology. Psychological anthropology is an interdisciplinary subfield of anthropology that studies the interaction of cultural and mental processes. This subfield tends to focus on ways in which humans' development and enculturation within a particular group with its own history, language, practices, and conceptual categories shape process of human cognition, emotion, perception, motivation, and also mental health. It also examines how the understanding of cognition, emotion, motivation, and similar psychological processes inform or constrain our models of cultural and social processes. Now we are going to learn about cognitive anthropology. Let us go in brief. It seeks to explain patterns of shared knowledge, cultural motivations, and transmission over time and space using the methods and theories of the cognitive sciences, especially experimental psychology and evolutionary biology, often though through close collaboration with historians, ethnographers, archaeologists, linguists, musicologists and other specialists engaged in the description and interpretation of cultural forms. Cognitive anthropology is concerned with what people from different groups know and how that implicit knowledge changes the way people perceive and relate to the world around them. Now we are coming to legal anthropology. Anthropology of law specializes in the cross-cultural study of social ordering. Earlier, legal anthropological research often focused more narrowly on conflict management, crime, sanctions, or formal regulations. More recent applications includes issues such as human rights, legal pluralism, and political uprisings. Now, we have to know what is public anthropology. It was created by Robert Borowski, a professor at Hawaii Pacific University, to demonstrate the ability of anthropology and anthropologists to effectively address problems beyond the discipline, illuminating larger social issues of our times as well as encouraging broad public conversations about them with the explicit goal of fostering social change. Now, digital anthropology. Let us have this brief discussion. Digital anthropology is the study of the relationship between human and digital era technology and extends to various areas where anthropology and technology intersect. It is sometimes grouped with socio-cultural anthropology and sometimes considered part of material culture. The field is new and thus has a variety of names with variety of emphasis. These include techno-anthropology, digital ethnography, cyber anthropology, and virtual anthropology. Now, anthropology of religion. It involves the study of religious institutions and the comparison of religious beliefs and practices across cultures. Modern anthropology assumes that there is a complete continuity between magical thinking and religion, and that every religion is a cultural product created by the human community. Now we are coming to urban anthropology. It is concerned with the issues of urbanization, poverty, and no liberalism, etc. Various social processes in the Western world as well as in the third world brought the attention of specialists in other cultures closer to their homes. There are two main approaches to urban anthropology: examining the types of cities or examining the social issues within the cities. These two methods are overlapping and dependent of each other. Now, evolutionary anthropology. It is the interdisciplinary study of the evolution of human physiology and human behavior and the relation between hominins and non-hominins, primates. Evolutionary anthropology is based on natural science and social science, combining the human development with socio-economic factors. Now, forensic anthropology. It is application of the science of physical anthropology and human osteology in a legal setting, most often in criminal cases where the victim's remains or in the advanced stages of decomposition. It can assist or help in the identification of diseased individuals whose remains are decomposed, burned, mutilated, or otherwise unrecognizable. Now, contemporary anthropology. It is an established science with academic departments at most universities and colleges. The single largest organization of anthropologists is the American Anthropological Association, that's why it's called AAA, which was founded in 1903. Its members are anthropologists from around the globe. And then what are the ethics we can find in anthropology? As the field has matured, it had debated and arrived at ethical principles aimed at protecting both the subjects of anthropological research as well as the researchers themselves, and professional societies have generated codes of ethics. Anthropologists, like other researchers, especially historians and scientists engaged in field research, have over time assisted state policies and projects, especially colonialism. The ethnographic work is often a historical, writing about people as if they were out of time in an ethnographic present. Hundreds of other organizations exist in the various subfields of anthropology, sometimes divided up by the nation or religion, and also many anthropologists work with collaboratively in other disciplines such as geology, professional zoology, etc., belonging to professional societies in those disciplines as well. श्रीयकांताय कल्याण निधे निधे राम श्री वेंकट निवासाय श्रीनिवासाय मंगलम मंगलाशास्त्र परिपदाचार्य प्रभु में सर्वेश गुरुराचार्य सत्कृत अनुजास्तु मंगलम.